There's a stretch of road in the high desert where even the wind avoids the asphalt. No mile markers, no signs, just open nothingness, where the sun dies too fast and the night arrives too quiet. And some nights, something watches from just beyond the headlights. The locals won't say the word, but the sand, the stone, and the wind remember. Skinwalker. Out here, the land doesn't forget. Welcome to Whispers After Dark, where shadows talk and the night listens. We would like to ask that you help our channel grow. Just like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave us a comment to tell us where you are from. They found the truck idling on the shoulder, engine humming, driver's door hanging open. No footprints in the sand, no blood, no sign of struggle. Just a cold thermos of coffee in the cup holder and a wallet tucked neatly between the seats. When dispatch called me in, they didn't say the words, but I knew what they were thinking. Another one. The truck belonged to Nathaniel Kerr, a long-haul driver I'd known for a few years in passing. He came through this stretch of Navajo land often, always waved when I was parked off the highway, sometimes stopped to chat. One of those drivers you remembered. Polite, easygoing, always had a story about strange lights or weird radio interference out in the desert. Said he had grandkids out in Colorado. Nathaniel was 56, and he'd run the Phoenix to Denver route for over 20 years. His last known stop was a gas station outside Kayenta. Filled the tank. Bought a breakfast burrito. Drove off. That was 6 hours before the call came in about the abandoned rig. I took Highway 163 north just past the San Juan River Bridge. Desert stretched in every direction like an ocean of rust-colored silence. The wind was sharp that night, pulling at my jacket as I stepped out beside the semi. Nothing unusual at first, no damage, no sign of mechanical failure, but the longer I stood there, the more something felt wrong. Like the silence was watching me. Inside the cab, the seats were still warm, keys in the ignition, GPS blinking, last log entry showed a pin mid-route, no detour. On the dash, I saw a Navajo leather pouch tied shut with black twine. Looked like a ward, probably gifted to him by someone local, but it had been ripped open. Its contents, sage, ash, small bones, scattered across the passenger seat like someone had emptied it in a hurry. I radioed it in, but reception was weak. Static choked every other word. So I started canvassing the area. That's when I saw them, tracks. Not boot prints, not animal, just impressions. Deep, scattered, long and narrow, like someone walking barefoot but dragging. They led off the road and disappeared into the brush. I didn't want to follow them, but I did. The flashlight barely reached 10 feet ahead, its beam swallowed by the black. Out here, with no light pollution and no moon, the dark doesn't just fall, it presses in, thick and unmoving. Every step crunched against gravel and dry weeds like it echoed too loud, too sharp, as if the desert didn't want me here. I kept walking, maybe a quarter-mile off the road, guided by instinct more than trail. That's when I saw them, Nathaniel's boots, sitting side by side in the dust like someone had taken them off carefully. Intentionally. They were still warm. A chill ran up my spine that had nothing to do with the night air. Next to them, the ground looked wrong. Not just disturbed, violated. The dirt had been torn open, not dug. Something had burst up from underneath. The earth around it was raked with deep gouges, as if long, splintered fingernails had clawed their way free. Dust clung to the edges like dried blood, and beneath it, something darker stained the packed sand. Not fresh, but recent enough. I crouched, shining the light closer, and noticed something else. The soil wasn't just displaced. It was curled back like flesh peeling away from bone. Whatever had come out of that hole hadn't just moved. It had emerged, angrily, violently. In the air around it, it didn't smell like death. It smelled like wet fur, rusted metal, and burnt hair. I straightened slowly, pulse thudding in my throat, ears straining for sound. But the desert was dead silent. Not even the wind dared breathe. That's when the smell hit me. Rot. But not fresh decay, older. Wet fur, sulfur, and something coppery underneath. I turned, light sweeping across the scrub brush. Nothing. But when I turned back toward the truck, someone was standing in the road. A figure stood just beyond the edge of the light. Tall, thin, all wrong. Its shape barely made sense. Limbs too long, hanging at unnatural angles, the outline swaying slightly like it was trying to remember how to stand. The flashlight trembled in my grip, casting broken shadows across its body, but never touching its face. I couldn't see eyes, just the heavy drape of torn, matted cloth and flashes of raw, sinewy flesh beneath. Its head tilted, slowly, sideways, not like curiosity, more like hunger wearing a human shape. My hand slid to my sidearm, but something deep and ancient whispered not to move. Then it jerked, not stepped, jerked, forward, like it was being yanked by invisible strings, closer, then again, closer still. I backed away slowly. Every instinct screamed to run, but something in my bones, old memory, blood memory, told me not to turn my back. Not on this. It didn't breathe, didn't blink. It just stood there, twitching softly, waiting, not for permission, for me to make the first mistake. That's when I heard it speak. Nate said you'd come. It was Nathaniel's voice, but it didn't come from a mouth. It came from behind me. I turned, snapped the beam of my flashlight across the dark. Nothing. And when I turned back, it was still there, standing in the center of the road, closer now. The edges of its form sharper, clearer. Tattered cloth clung to its frame like old skin, and beneath it, something moved, wet, trembling, long. It hadn't taken a step. It was just closer. I didn't breathe. My heartbeat pounded so loud I could barely hear the wind, but I knew better than to run. My body remembered things my brain hadn't learned yet, ancestral fear, bone-deep instinct. I started backing away, slow and careful, keeping my eyes locked on it. The figure twitched, then tilted its head again, like it was waiting to see if I'd break. When I reached my cruiser, I yanked the door open and dropped into the driver's seat, never taking my eyes off the road ahead. I turned the key. Nothing. Dead. Silent. Cold. The dash was black, like the battery had been sucked dry. I reached for the radio. No static. No power. My flashlight was still working. My phone, full charge. Everything else, drained. Like the car had been sitting out here for months. I looked back up. The figure hadn't moved, but now it was closer to the brush. Still facing me, still watching. The weight in the air got heavier, thicker. Like something was pressing in from every direction. Like the land itself was holding its breath. I wasn't about to wait and find out what it was waiting for. Nathaniel's truck was still idling, still running. Like it had never stopped. I ran. Didn't look back. Didn't care about the pouch on the passenger seat or the echo of footsteps I swore I heard just behind me. I slammed the door, threw it in drive, and got the hell out of there. Whatever that thing was, it wanted me to look away. And I didn't plan to give it the chance. I drove until I hit the highway. Then I pulled over to catch my breath, and I called it in. A retrieval team was dispatched the next morning to bring in the cruiser, which was still sitting dead near the ridge. No power, no signal, not a flicker of life. Nathaniel's truck was impounded for inspection. When the department mechanic ran a routine check, he found something off. The truck's undercarriage was scored with deep, claw-like marks. Fresh. The truck had looked clean. Too clean. As if something had made sure it appeared untouched until it was too late to matter. Nathaniel was never found. No sightings, no movement on his phone, no bank activity. Just a 20-second dash cam clip pulled from the truck's onboard system. The footage showed him slowing down along a remote stretch of highway near Blackridge Pass. There, in the center of the road, stood a tall, unmoving figure with one arm raised, mimicking a hitchhiker. Nathaniel's voice asked, "You okay out there?" The figure stepped forward in a staggered, twitching motion, limbs jerking like broken hinges. The frame dipped into static, then briefly cleared, just long enough to catch a distorted glimpse of the face. Too long, pale, half covered in something hanging and wet, black eyes reflecting the dash light. Then the screen fractured, and the feed cut to black. They asked me what I thought it was. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. I've heard the stories. I've seen the warnings scratched into old fence posts and whispered in forgotten corners of the county. Even if I won't say it aloud, the word is burned into my thoughts like a scar. Skinwalker. That night, back at my apartment, I found something waiting on my windowsill. A small black pouch, twine wrapped, still damp. Beneath it, 3 long scratches carved deep into the wood. Not random, not animal, a mark, a message. Even if you don't speak its name, it knows yours. That concludes tonight's story. We hope you enjoyed this journey into the dark. If you're ever driving alone through Navajo land and see someone by the roadside, don't stop. No matter how human they look, some things wear faces like masks, and some names should never be said. New stories drop regularly, each one darker than the last. So make sure to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell. It helps the channel grow and keeps the darkness close. Don't forget to leave us a comment. So stay curious, stay cautious, and beware of the whispers after dark.